Welcome to the very first episode of the Modern Leadership Solutions podcast. In this premiere episode, I'm going to talk about two foundational concepts of effective leadership, and then I want to give you two action items you can start doing right away. I'll also talk a little bit about what you can expect from these episodes. So let's dig in. Now, right up front, I want to be clear about why I started Modern Leadership Solutions. And it comes from my own experience of having to do a lot of research and a lot of growth on my own, and the lack of what I saw as being adequate preparation in leadership, just in general. And so my purpose is to help build effective leaders. I see a lot of people that go through training and go through courses and think that that's enough. But the truth is that it takes a lot of practice and it takes time to develop. So, especially if you want to be effective. And so I built this company on these two concepts, that what I consider to be foundational concepts of effective leadership. And the first one is this: simply put, effective leadership is intentional. I believe that you need intentionality in everything that you do to be effective, and that applies to leadership. That automatically includes things like discipline, focus, and structure. And I've got a lot of tools that I'm going to be referencing over the course of these episodes about structure, because it's all built on different frameworks, something that's necessary to provide that foundation that you need. So what does this mean? What does it really boil down to? It's simply this: that you need a plan. Michael Hyatt of Full Focus says that you won't drift to a desired location. It takes intention. It takes planning. Now, this doesn't mean that every moment of every day has to be planned out. So don't tune me out here. What it does mean, though, is that you have to start setting some boundaries around things. You have to understand how you're using your time and resources, and you have to be intentional with it. Now, for me, the thing that I've used for several years now to help keep me intentional in what I'm doing is the full focus system. I like it. It fits what I do. So that's what I will talk a lot about. But you can use whatever works. The concepts are the same. And it's this: that with the full focus system, it keeps me intentionally focused on the things that I know will move me towards my life goals, move me towards meaningful goals that'll actually get me somewhere in life that I want to be. And it uses concepts like the ideal week, weekly and daily big threes, weekly and quarterly previews, and life focus planning. Now, don't worry if you're not familiar with that. I'll talk about these concepts in future episodes, and so you don't have to know that right now. But the thing that I like about this system, and something I think you should look for if you're looking for any way to provide focus and structure, is look for something that allows some flexibility, because life changes. It doesn't matter how well you've planned. You're always subject to things changing, and sometimes they change very quickly, sometimes daily, hourly. You need something that can adjust. So be looking for that. Once again, we'll talk about all that in upcoming episodes. And the systems that I've been using, the habits, the processes, the routines, whatever you want to call them, I've been doing this for years, and it's been refined over the course of a lot of years into something that works for me. And so that's what you need to be prepared to do, is to, even as you find things that work, you may need to adapt them to yourself. And what I've built over the years has been a combination of a lot of different things. And so that's why we'll unpack that as we go through this series. Now, for you, I would say that intentionality in leadership, well, this is true for everybody, it really starts with yourself. You have to lead yourself well before you can lead others well. And the place that I'm going to encourage you to do that to start with, if you've not done anything else, is set intentional boundaries around your workday. Know when your workday starts and when it ends, when you're going to turn it on, when you're going to turn it off. That will give you the downtime that you need, the downtime that your brain needs to be productive when you're on. And this is a fairly easy place to start because for most people, if you are working for somebody else, those boundaries are already established, or at least partially established. You know what's expected of you when the day starts, when the day ends. That's a good start. Now, if you are like me and you're an entrepreneur, it gets a little bit more difficult, but it is possible. And in my mind, it's very necessary that you do that. You have to know what limitations you're going to put on yourself. For me, it's a simple thing of knowing that my work day runs from 8 to 4, and I usually take a time for what I call a midday reset about noon or a little bit after I have lunch. And so those are some boundaries that I've set around my time and my energy, so that I know that when I am considering myself working, that I'm putting full effort there. But then when I get past this time when work shuts off, that I don't think about it. I don't worry about it. And that's where you want to be. And so what that is, the first takeaway that I would encourage you with is to make sure you understand those boundaries and then observe them, and make sure that when you're not working, you're not working. Simple as that. So that leads into the second concept, the second foundational concept, and that is built on this idea of intention, and that is this, that effective leaders are always growing. That means that you're intentionally setting aside time for personal growth. Now, John Maxwell is known for saying that leaders develop daily, not in a day, meaning that it's a process and not a one-time event. You're not going to go through a training course or listen to one podcast or that's going to do everything for you. This is something that you have to do every day and practice growth. In fact, his third law of leadership is called the law of process, which in part says this: what matters most is what you do day by day over the long haul. That's what's going to get you where you want to be. Now, for me, my strategy has changed many times over the years. It's evolved and grown. It's adapted for circumstances of life, because there are times when I had less time to be able to put into my personal growth habits. And there have been times that I've had more time. And so I've allowed it to shrink and grow and adapt to whatever my life circumstance was. And so that is where I would challenge you in this next action item, is that establish some kind of personal growth strategy. Now, it can start very simple. You could say, well, I'm going to spend, 30 minutes on my drive time to work. I'm going to listen to podcasts, or I'm going to set aside a block of time every afternoon as much as possible to read, or something like that. Currently, that's where my personal growth strategy is I try to block out an hour every afternoon for growth, for either podcasts or for reading. And so it can start fairly simple. If you don't have an hour every day to do that, do what works. If it's taking 10 minutes somewhere to do something, to read some kind of relevant growth material that fits you, the stuff that you like. Now, the bottom line here is that I would tell you to develop a passion for learning. And then another topic that we'll talk about in future episodes is about how to capture that. You're not under pressure to remember everything you've heard or everything you've read, but it's good for you to have a way to capture things that do stand out, things that you do want to move on, things that you want to act on. Recently I was talking with a business leader that I was very inspired by what he was saying, and inspired me to step up my learning. Now, this was a very strong and a very direct leader who's known to be very outspoken. Yet at times he told me this, that he would suppress that desire, that urge to be outspoken, and take a quieter approach when interacting with people so that he could learn from them. And he found out that he really likes learning from other people, that he has a real passion for that. And so that was a very inspiring thing, because it's good to see a leader that's so self-aware that he knows what his natural tendencies are like, and he knows how to how to turn them off so that he can actually learn from other people. So, but as I said, that's really the second action item that I would encourage you in, is to create some kind of plan. Start simple. If you need help brainstorming it, I'd be glad to help you with that. But just build and adjust that as your circumstances allow, as you find more time and put more time into it. The bottom line here is do something. Do something to start growing and understanding leadership. There are a ton of resources out there. It doesn't matter if you're into reading. It can be, books. It can be ebooks. It can be Kindle. If you're into podcasts, there's all kinds of podcasts. There's all kinds of YouTube videos, all kinds of things that you can learn and grow with. That is really where I wanted to end up today, is to bring these two concepts to you, that effective leadership is intentional and that effective leaders are always growing. So make sure that you're intentional with your time, starting with your work days, to make sure you know when to start and stop, when to turn it on, when to turn it off, and then do something every day to grow and learn. And so we're going to dig deeper into these ideas in upcoming episodes. So for now, I just want to thank you for listening, and I want to encourage you to stay tuned, because we've got some really interesting topics that I want to talk about. And I'm also going to be bringing on some other leaders that I know that I'd really like to get their take and hear what they have to say on effective leadership. So stay tuned. There's a lot of good stuff to come.